Hello darlings, Ophelia here. I just wanted to inform you that Spare the Crying is hosting a little TTRPG giveaway with a chance to make an NPC for our tale. I do hope I get to meet them, as well as little treasures made by independent creators. Go ahead and find the rules on the pinned videos on our TikTok or Instagram. We look forward to hearing from you, and I apologise for the interruption. On with the show. So, that's how it happens sometimes. The angel begs for murder, the heroic soldier kills, the rich man and the outlaw stand back and watch. But that one man, the one who's not supposed to be here, he did try to put a stop to it, didn't he? But they went on and did it. They downed the fallen star that had been abandoned on its pedestal, abandoned in the ruins, abandoned beneath Freya's old lands. There was something of the vampire about it, but lucky for them, it wasn't the strongest. Seems no one's happy about their decision. They've all gone their separate ways to rest in this cavern, empty but for the dark moths that circle Kian's light cast in the water. While that light lasts. So, Virgil and Henry, you set up a makeshift camp beside one of the pillars in this cavern. Kirit, you've gone to cool off a bit on a walk around the room. Rowan has left in the opposite direction with a bag of holding, a celestial stone inside. You've not quite taken the time to investigate yet. Ox sits at the shore of these turning waters with Codex, Kirit's dog on one side, and Delilah, Henry's coyote, on the other. Ox is in a perfect dog sandwich. Kian is the fruity jam filling alongside him.
This is a somber moment, you guys.
The dogs are the bread, Ox is the peanut butter.
No.
Kian is the strawberry jam. And the room is quiet, aside from the sound of gently rushing water.
I don't suppose you have prestidigitation or anything?
No, I don't. I thought maybe that would be more your department, or Kian. Well, we know Kian has.
Yeah, I didn't see a point in studying that just yet. It's okay. Virgil will go ahead and start setting up a makeshift fire as best he can to try off.
Henry is right alongside him with this fire.
What are you guys making the fire out of?
There's desks here.
Yeah, my thought exactly, actually.
I think it would be fairly therapeutic for Virgil to just go up and start kicking planks off of these.
The desks are stone. They're carved into the pillars, but I do think it would make sense for there to be some very old wooden chairs.
He'll kick those into kindling size appropriate sticks and start making a fire, because God forbid he burn any books. He would never do that.
So, Virgil, I've been meaning to speak with you about, how do I put it politely? Everything.
You don't have to worry about being polite at this point, I think.
Maybe. Just curious. With regards to, he glances over to wherever Rowan is wandering about.
Yeah, Rowan is like walking away from you guys.
Rowan, and is there any order of his you wouldn't follow?
2 years ago, the question was easier. Yes, there were orders I wouldn't follow. Now it's a bit more complicated. I have less luxury to refuse, I think.
So, forgive the leap, perhaps, but you would rather forsake your own morals to stay in the Dawn Shepherds than what?
I would set him aside for the chance to get him out of the Shepherds, yes.
And doing so from within is the answer?
Well, I can't very well do it from outside, can I? If I'm not welcome within Dawning. And that is the alternative.
I suppose. That does have some sense to it.
Don't get me wrong, I don't like it.
Well, I didn't think that you did. It was just such an unusual situation back there. And don't think that just because I was on the poor end of it, that's the whole reason that I'm bringing it up. But I'm just concerned, is all. Or if anything were to get more dire.
So am I. I never expected him to make that sort of order of me. I would like to think that he wouldn't have. before. But I guess I wouldn't know. He wasn't commander then.
I see. If I may offer, and of course you're more than welcome to decline, but if you needed ever someone to stop you, for whatever reason, because you are either choosing not to or do not feel you're able to disobey him, you're always welcome to ask me for help, even subtly. But I'm not sure if that's something you're interested in.
I hope I don't have to take you up on that. But I'm glad to know there is an option there.
Of course, Rowan knows I won't always listen to him, so it's not a surprise.
I'm sure he does. No, I hope to speak with him about this. So hopefully it will not happen again, but thank you, Henry. Truly, thank you for standing up to him when I could not.
Of course. There's only so much I'll be told what to do.
I've come to notice that.
Thank you. But, alright then, I won't press you any farther on the matter. Thank you for...
Are you still okay being a part of this?
This? He gestures about the room.
Yeah, I mean, we're all here to help the people of Enosh, but this... We didn't have to get involved with Dawning to do that.
That's true, but then I'd be abandoning all of you, and it's a lot harder if it was just me trying to do something. You know, mobilizing resources with the Goodlove and Goodlove Railroad can be, not that it's impossible, but it takes a lot more time, and there's a lot more paperwork, and you have to negotiate salaries and things and whatnot, and all of us were already on our way to doing this anyways, and that would have been long past if I had gone that route.
Henry, two things. One, you were very capable of doing all of that yourself if you wanted. And two, it's okay if you just wanted company. I get it.
It's nice to have a reliable group, even if we have to work under the Dawn Shepherds. I think our fire's looking very nice then. We'll finish setting up the rest of the camp and...
Yeah, okay. As the conversation sort of peters out, Virgil will start to cast Identify on his new blood sword.
Roll a perception check, Virgil.
12.
You unsheath your sword and lay it across your lap to cast Identify. You, just for a split second, detect something odd in your reflection on the blade. As you may recall, it's coated in basically a hardened blood, red crystal, that reflects the light of the fire. You know, if you turn it a bit, it'll reflect Henry's face and yours, almost like a mirror. Do you settle down to cast after you investigate and don't really see anything else odd about it? As you sit down, cast your spell, show you over to Kian.
Kian sits there for a while, stares at the water, leans against Ox, pets Codex. Do you think that was the right thing to do?
Ox takes a long moment before he answers. Yeah, I do.
Didn't feel like it. There didn't feel like there was a right answer, you know?
I don't think the alternative was any better, though, in this situation.
I think you're right. I've just never had to make a decision like that, you know? Don't like it. Don't like being stuck in situations where you can't find the right way out.
Maybe there was no right answer. And anything you chose would have been wrong. Not to say that what you chose was wrong.
You know, I don't remember much about the Rusalka. What happened to her? Everything about that was kind of a blur, but we didn't just leave her there, did we?
No. We did try to leave, but she came up above the water again, and was like she was egging me on, almost. It was like she wanted to die. So, I finished it. That didn't feel good either.
Well, it never does it? That sort of thing.
The best we can hope for is that they're at rest and they're at peace.
I sure hope so.
I don't think it would be true for either of them, but I hope they find that.
From across the chamber, you start to faintly hear the sounds of a string instrument. It's not highly skilled playing, but you can tell there is emotion in it and the framework of a song of mourning.
Is it a specific song?
Perhaps if you were familiar with the region that Kieran is from.
Kian, I'm going to give you advantage on this because it is from something you know a lot about.
Would what skill is this? It's like history.
History. Yeah.
Okay. 15. 23.
Yeah, I think you would all recognize that it sort of has Western Octarius sound to it, sort of the Brian region, but it's a little bit folksier than what you would find in Freya, like a little bit more old-fashioned, which implies it might be from one of the smaller islands separate from Freya, one of the little communities that are under different guardians. Mr. 23 over there,
It's Mr. Flores, actually, but go ahead.
Mr. Virgil 23 Flores over there,
It's 27, actually.
Mr.
I'm
27,
27.
wait, Mr. Virgil 23, 27 Flores over there.
God. Sorry I said anything.
You do recognize where this is from. It's from a small island called the Grove that you once traveled through more than traveled to, very briefly, about 9 years ago, when you were in your Dawn Shepherd days and checking in on the smaller islands that were less connected to the rest of the world. Just sort of on a information-seeking mission. You heard this song playing.
As the conversation sort of peters out and the song echoes through the room, it takes him a minute, but Kuhn will rummage through their bag and the mandolin is right there. They'll join in, pretty simple, following the basic chord structure. We're not very good at this, are we? This whole talking about things when they happen. We've all gone through a lot.
Yeah, maybe it's a skill we could all improve.
I like that. I think we just keep getting so focused on the mission ahead. No, I'm not really working on myself, you know? Anyway, looks like they made camp over there. And he looks over to Virgil in the distance. They're pretty far away, right?
I don't think they would have gone far. Probably the first closest set of pillars. You would look over and Virgil, his eyes are closed. He's busy casting a spell.
Ox looks at the water and looks across, and he'll look back at Kian. I can use Misty Step once a day, but just the one time, so now's probably the time to use it.
Meet you on the other side then.
Yeah. Ox will cast Misty Step and appear on the other side of the water.
You very easily avoid the cloud of moths that are still circling around this pedestal you've been sitting on. Keen, are you trying to avoid them?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you time it right, you just have to wait for your cork that you can't see right now, hidden as it is behind their wings. You just wait for it to go by, and then you're able to splash your way across towards the light of the fire that Virgil and Henry have lit. You watch Kieran appear and vanish through the columns of stone as he returns to your campsite. Rowan is nowhere to be seen. But you are all together again.
Where was he heading?
You're casting a spell right now.
Fuck you,
Where was
Daddy.
he heading?
Thank you, Henry.
He was heading in the direction of the hallway doors.
Did he go through the hallway?
Seems like he might have.
Henry would be paying more attention to Rowan.
As you're observing the room, looking around, it's a bit hard to keep track. Like I said, there's all of these pillars that regularly block your view, but you do notice eventually Rowan vanishes behind one and doesn't really come back into view again.
God damn it, Rowan.
Definitely be something Kian and Ox would see as they're like returning back to the camp. Is Henry leaving the camp?
You make your way past the pillars to the hallway. Virgil, you finished casting your Identify spell. It glows with a faint blue light. It seems to be... It's strange. Actually, I'm gonna have you roll an Arcana check.
Natural 20.
That's not too bad, I guess.
Damn.
It's a total of 27.
It's celestial in nature, unsurprisingly. It's like a spell that has been partially cast. Like it's been frozen mid-cast. It's pushing against a wall, like it's waiting to be released. You think it might be the wish spell. And as you stare at it, the reflection appears strange again for a moment. It looks like someone else's, just for a second, and then it's yours again.
What happens I don't think is conscious. I think that he sees that reflection and the wish just takes.
Ox and Kian and Kira. When you get to the campsite, it's just Virgil alone with the sword. As you approach, there's a burst of white light, and Henry, you walk down the darkened hallway. Then the hallway opens up. There's a very bright light ahead, and when you step out of the hallway into the room with the reflection pool and look up, the sky or the ceiling is ablaze with light. The representations of the stars and the moons are almost blinding. You have to squint to see. And to the opposite side, you just catch the door closing.
He's running after.
Open, close the door, and Rowan whips around as the door opens again behind him, his hand to his sword, and sees that it's you, takes a deep breath. Yes?
You should have made mention that you were going off. Pretty dangerous to be wandering around alone out here. Sure, I have Delilah, but you're... What are you doing?
I just needed a moment.
All the way out here?
Yes.
And how much farther were you planning to go?
Just here.
I don't believe that.
It doesn't matter.
Why? Can't you take a contemplative moment in a very large room? Why does it have to be all the way out here?
It is not your place to question.
If one of us had wandered off alone, what would you have done?
I would have told you to go back, as you have done now. You should go back to the others.
Then you should come with me.
He breathes in again. Go back to the others. I will be there soon.
Then give me the bag of holding.
No,
Why not?
it is not yours to carry.
I think it would be safer in a larger group of people who could potentially defend it.
He's silent for a few seconds. Wasn't particularly well disguised before that he was fuming. In the span of these 5 seconds, it appears to get significantly worse. You're currently in the library type entry room. He looks around. I think it's like he's reading the titles behind you as a distraction for a moment. And he looks back to you. Go back to the others, good love.
If you're so insistent on being away from the rest of the group, then the very least that I could do is stay here.
I said go back to the others.
I'm not going back to the others. Not alone, and, at the very least, as I had said, not without... As Henry has been talking. He talks a lot with his hands, but he's been trying to keep them more at chest level as he approaches, not necessarily slowly, but pretty casually. I'm just a little concerned. You seem to be having a difficult time. We want you to come back in one piece.
He grabs your wrist and starts to pull you towards the door. It's like he has like a fever. His skin is hot to touch. Are you fighting this?
No, keep pace with them.
He opens the door with one hand, the other still around your wrist, and walks a few steps to the other side, lets go of your hand, and turns around and closes the door again behind you.
Like he
He leaves you alone in the hallway.
He fucking kicked you out.
Was he looking at Henry while dragging his ass out of that hallway?
No.
Awesome. Can I try to take the bag of holding off of him during that time period? Sleight of hand?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, he's gonna be so mad.
Fuck him.
What did you get?
It was only 5.
Yeah, he clearly notices you do this, but he doesn't have a very strong reaction to that motion specifically. He just sort of pushes you away out into the hallway.
Open that door right back up.
He's not facing you.
Rowan, can we at least have a civilized conversation about this?
No.
Why not?
I need you to leave.
Why?
Go.
You're not answering my question. You know you're going to get rid of me a lot faster if you answer it.
I don't need to answer your questions.
Don't play the whole high and mighty commander-in-chief game with me. You aren't the first sort of person that's of a higher position than me. That's what tried to pull this sort of thing on me.
He draws his sword and turns back around. He's holding it at his side.
This isn't helping your case for making you look good.
Go back to the others.
And if I don't?
You wouldn't kill a good love, would you?
Only a bad one.
There's a half second, a burst of flame, and then a lion is standing there in front of you. Its head reaches just above your shoulder. And...
Oh no!
Save that wish spell.
Oh, it's too late. Did he fucking crit, Henry?
I think a natural 20 is going to hit you.
He's gonna have to crit for a lot. He didn't take much damage in the last battle.
You take 32 points of slashing damage as he leaps at you, swipes a very large paw across your chest. I'm almost bowling you over.
You're so far away.
A roar echoes through the room that's almost deafening to you, but you can't quite be sure if it's loud enough to reach all the way down to the opposite end of this compound where you have left your friends behind.
It's okay, I've Revivify.
This is going great.
Well, we'll be going for the door that leads out.
Outside or back down the hallway?
Outside.
He's going to get an attack of opportunity on you. You take 13 points of slashing damage as he swipes at you again as you race by. But you're able to reach the door and open it.
To open it, yeah.
Yeah.
This is so funny. Do you want to know how much health he has right now?
No! You are so fragile. Did none of us hear the roar?
No. You're really, I mean, you're
I know.
You're
It was
far
worth a
away.
try.
You know, yeah, I'll have Codex roll a perception check.
21.
Codex's ears perk up. Kira, at this moment, you are heading back towards the campsite. At first, you think it might be related to what just happened in front of you, which is a bright light filled the room and then vanished very suddenly as Virgil was encased in the fluttering dark cloud of wings. But before we get to that, Henry, you reach the door. You wait to feel again the slam of the weight of the lion at your back. He runs towards you, and there's no strategy behind his movements. There's not much, you could say, intelligence behind it. You've picked up on enough to avoid the swipe at you. And it's your turn. Do you keep running?
You could disengage.
Then you run out the door, back outside. You run, you keep running. You don't hear the sound of the lion chasing you. And if you glance back over your shoulder, there's the empty doorway.
When he chances a glance back, it's at the mouth of the other hallway that leads out of the cavern back towards where they know it leads out eventually. Exit hallway area is where he stops if he realizes that Rowan isn't following him. But he's not doing great.
No, he's not.
You wait there. Rowan, who thankfully rolled well on his wisdom check, Rowan does not follow you. You begin to notice the rustling around you of strange, vaguely humanoid creatures that you came across when you were entering the compound. They haven't quite approached you yet, but you will regularly see them glancing your way, shuffling a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And we will return to what you do next. But first, Virgil, you are blinded by this bright light, and at first you think that is why your vision goes dark. And then you feel the wings around you, brushing against your skin. You hear like an echo or a memory, the voice of the celestial or the vampire or the creature or whatever you wish to call it, as it asks you, "What do you want?"
I want my friend
I will
back.
give it to you.
I want him
Please.
back. My friend.
Please. The rest of you, Ox, Kian, and Kirit, You see Virgil appear again as these moths all concentrate and land on the sword, and then take another shape again. A sort of vaguely humanoid form standing in front of Virgil. And then it looks like a person. Color returns to him. Then, Ox, you recognize this figure as the man that Perry Vine turned into a long time ago. I believe that Virgil gave his name.
Errol Strauss.
And there is a bleeding gash across his chest. It's clearly a life-taking wound. He immediately collapses to the ground.
Virgil drops the sword and goes to him.
Kian runs without thinking, and
Can you heal him? Please.
of course, just from a glance, is he still conscious?
No.
Is this a need for Vivify or a need for
Do you want to roll a medicine check?
5?
Everything is moving very fast. It's difficult to tell. It looks like a deadly wound. He's not moving.
Just can you feel a heartbeat?
No, you can't find a pulse.
Okay, he casts Revivify. He reaches into the bag at his side, pulls out a diamond, and he kind of shakily places it on his chest and will lean down and kiss his forehead and just get enveloped in a golden glow.
Virgil just sits and holds his hand, leaned over him, waiting.
He jolts awake, but you don't feel your spell take hold. And when he wakes, it's with a cry of pain. And as you pull away from him, you see the very recognizable fangs of a vampire.
Oh, what did I do to him?
With his eyes still wide with that fear and pain, he lunges upwards, Virgil, and sort of wraps his arm around your shoulder and pulls himself closer so he can sink his teeth into the small patch of skin on your neck between your collar and your chin. And you feel them pierce easily. And you can hear the remnants of that gasp of pain. And then it slowly quiets.
Yeah, Virgil will just reach an arm around him to help him sit up and just hold him.
What's happening?
It's okay. It's okay.
You take 6 points of damage
Okay.
from Errol Strauss.
Does it seem to help him?
He doesn't stop for a moment.
As Kian is freaking out, Virgil can see that recognizable look as Kian's pupils turn to pinpricks, and he lunges and also bites his shoulder.
Okay, Kian. Ox, could you maybe...
Kira
Yeah.
going for a grapple and try and pull Kian off.
Yeah, Ox will help.
It's easy. As soon as he takes that little bite.
You remember why it's a bad idea?
Yeah.
How much damage do you do to me?
I rolled a 1.
Ox and Kira, as you pull Kian away from Virgil, Errol also falls back.
Does he look exactly like how Virgil remembers, except for the fangsies?
His eyes are a deep, almost maroon red and wide, scared.
Okay, hey. Virgil will just put his hands up. It's okay. We're okay.
He just takes one of your hands.
Virgil will hold it tight.
He's cold even to you.
That's new.
Henry. Henry, while you pull yourself together out here, it's very clear to you that these creatures are getting a little bit bolder, moving closer and closer within your range. But Rowan still doesn't follow.
Okay, well, the smart thing to do is to cast Cure Wounds the first level twice, because I have that. I rolled a 1 and then an 8.
Nice.
Now he has 10. He has 10 times the health he had earlier.
Excellent. The creatures back away slightly as you cast and then move forward again once the light of your magic fades.
Henry tries a few steps forward towards them. Did they back off?
They don't allow you to come much closer, but they also don't put any more distance between the two of you.
Henry will take a glance to the closest one. I don't have to worry about the two of us, right?
I'm gonna have you do, I think, just a straight up charisma.
Well,
It lunges for you, and it's almost like it's fainting, like it stops short of it. But there is clear aggression in the movement.
Henry does back away from the movement. Okay, so we won't be doing that. he'll be making his way back towards the main compound.
They continue to follow you as you head back, and they start to clamor around you. Are you walking?
Yes.
One of them lunges for you again. I'm going to give you a chance to start running.
Okay, back to running.
I am going to have you just once roll I guess Dex.
21.
Yeah, you notice them starting to get a little braver, a little closer, and perhaps a little angrier, and you start to race over. They still seem a little bit hesitant to openly attack you, but one of them does lunge again with its strange sort of clawed hand at you, and you easily rush by and back into the library.
There's a definite hesitation before going through the door. Checking first to make sure it's still not full of lions.
You approach the door, you glance in, and at least at a glance, you don't see. It doesn't appear to be full of lion.
Or Rowan.
It doesn't appear to be full of Rowan either. You close the door behind you,
Yes.
and you hear the scraping of nails against the door, but they don't open it. After a couple moments, it quiets.
Henry still stays with his back pressed against the door for a minute. There.
Oh, Henry, I'm so glad you're alive.
Fine.
God.
It's fine, it's fine.
The rest of the boys? There appears to be an additional boy in your midst.
There's a man on the floor.
Codex is torn between the distraction of what just happened in front of you and the sound that he heard just a few minutes ago. His ears are still perked up, and he keeps glancing over to the hallway, back to the scene in front of you.
Glancing at this strange new person who has simply appeared, Pirate realizes he can't actually probably do anything to help this situation, and that noise that Codex heard is tickling the back of his mind, and he runs in the direction of the doorway.
Virgil doesn't notice at all.
Ox is holding Keen back. Keen's just looking at what's happening in front of them both. It's okay. That was it, I promise.
Errol is silent. He's still just lying there.
Can I check the wound on his chest and shoulder? Is it any better?
The wound is closed.
Virgil, what's going on?
I don't know. I was just identifying my sword, and it felt like... Well, I saw a reflection, and I think the Celestial spoke to me. I think I made a wish. Are you okay?
Kian, after you were bitten by Lachlan, you vaguely remember the days afterwards. It was sort of like you were half present. You see that happen in front of you now with this new stranger. He's conscious. His eyes are open. He still has a grip on Virgil's arm. But he doesn't say anything. He's just sort of staring up at him.
If Ox will allow it, Keen puts a hand on Virgil's shoulder. I don't think he'll be able to answer you for a bit.
Okay.
I think he's okay.
So this isn't normal.
I don't know. It's familiar to me, at least.
Virgil will turn back to Errol. Do you know who I am?
There's a long pause. He slowly nods once.
Okay. It's okay. Nothing's going to hurt you. Virgil will take off his cloak and wrap it around Errol's shoulders. Okay, do you want to stand up?
We can stay here for a bit, right?
Well, I don't know. Rowan and Henry went off, and... Shit, Carrot too.
I don't think we should move him for a bit.
Yeah, okay. Here. Virgil will help guide him over to the fire and get him sat down.
Settle him down. Now the two of you get a little bit better of a look at him. Kian, as we clarified, you were out when he first appeared. He's a human man. He looks to be around your age, maybe a little bit younger. He has short, dark hair that's swept back, a bit messy right now, with streaks of silver through it, reminiscent of Virgil's. They have a small, thin, well-maintained pencil mustache and goatee, and even now, sort of hunched over, you can tell that they're pretty tall and lanky, but there's significant strength there as well. And Virgil, something about him almost looks wrong without the red gemstone hanging from his right ear. That doesn't seem to have come back with him. He stares at the flame, still wide-eyed, not quite present yet. Virgil settles beside him. And Kirit, you run down the hallway with Codex. Codex stops very suddenly before you reach the end, just outside a pool of light that reaches from beneath the doorway to the, let's call it the reflection room. Codex stops there. He turns around, heads back to you, and circles around your feet. He doesn't want you to go forward.
Fine then, you go. He will go into Codex's senses and send him into the next room.
The door is not quite properly closed, and Codex can just push his way through. He also has to stop for a moment. The light in here is incredibly bright for his little dog eyes, but he adjusts and runs around the pool to the other side. And Henry, are you just making your way back?
Once Henry has his bearings a bit more, it's back to running, but not running away this time. This is purposeful running. The intent is to go back to the greenhouse room from the left hallway rather than the right hallway.
Henry, you are nearly run over by a dog. His tail wags.
Henry dodges past. He's trying his best, like, you know that dodge you do when you don't want to step on your pet? It's that. He takes a moment to slow down, to just toss a... Codex, Kirit, Rowan, we need to find the greenhouse room if you'd follow me, and he runs off again.
Codex barks and runs after you, Henry. And then, Kirit, you are almost bowled over by Henry as Henry runs through the doorway, and then turns in the opposite direction down the hallway towards the greenhouses.
Kirit will follow, but he will ask, what's going on?
I'm just imagining what he rolls up on is Henry way worse off than what
Yeah, just like gash across all.
Yeah, that's a good point. Henry looks like he's been through a worse fight than the one you just experienced.
Rowan, alright? We need to catch up with him.
Is he okay?
That's not the kind of question you should be asking right now.
Is it not?
It makes sense. I promise it will all make sense. Just help me find him.
Okay, you guys keep going into the greenhouse area.
Yeah, I was gonna say Delilah would go ahead.
It appears to be empty.
Henry doesn't take a long time to check that the greenhouse room is empty. If it's pretty obvious that there's no one else there, then won't really linger for very long and just run out the bay door of sorts.
Kirit, are you following?
Yeah.
It opens out into darkness, including Delilah and Codex. Roll perception checks.
11 for Kirit and 16 for Codex.
12.
None of you see anything. Again, it's a dark, cavernous underground cave, but Codex can detect a hint of wood smoke, sort of burning scent that he associates with Rowan.
Rowan? Are you out there? Are you alright?
Kirit?
Yeah.
Well, Henry, you have dark vision.
Yes.
So, Henry, you first see, barely visible in your line of sight, the lumbering shape of the lion. But he doesn't come any closer. And Codex barks just twice as he senses him draw closer.
Alright, Kian here.
And Ophelia.
A bit weird to hear from us directly, but we've heard there might be some folks listening to our tale and wanted to take the time to thank you all for sharing our journey. We'd love to hear more from you, so please leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube streams.
And join us on a Discord server to speak with us and discuss your own TTRPG creations.
You can check our website to find our portraits and maps of our world. Find it all on Linktree/SpareTheCrying. Background music is by Marika Shans, and our intro music is by Ben McElroy.
Our outro is The Falcon by Mimi and Richard Farina, covered by May, voice of Kian.
And our official art is by our very own Corey, at CrowQueen on Twitter. And with that, I'm sure you'll be hearing more from us in the future, so we'll see where the winds take us and meet you there.
Henry comes back over to Kirit, not that they were super far away, and doesn't really say anything, but brings Kirit back towards the greenhouse a little bit. This isn't exactly what I was expecting in this scenario, but you have to understand, Rowan has something of a control problem. A condition. I'm just surprised he's still suffering from it, and we'll just go back over.
What are you talking about?
I'm so sorry for keeping you in the dark, quite literally in your case. Let's just head back to the others. I'll explain on the walk back. He's still taking glances to where Rowan was.
Do you think he needs help, though? I heard something, and... Well, you look terrible. Sorry, not like that, just...
I know what you mean. No, I don't think he needs any help. He's having his own... whichever that is. Henry doesn't want to turn his back on it, but he'll still be walking...
Henry walks backwards. So the two of you awkwardly sideways crab walk your way back into the hallway.
When we get back with everyone else, I'll explain in full, but you have to understand that Rowan has this ability to turn into a lion, and it may or may not be questionably stable. Yes, so that's how I ended up in this state. Is he got a little bit pissy because he wanted... I don't know what he's doing. I have my suspicions, but given the fact that he's still in a lion form, I just hope the train away from Freya doesn't leave with only him on it.
Alright. Sure. Kirit looks shaken.
I love that Kirit left Virgil getting bit by two boys.
He got one of the boys off. Sorry.
I know.
Of him?
What?
Of him. Which one?
That's where we'll take our break. So, Kirit, with that new information on your mind, you enter back into the pillar room and find your friends seated around the fire, plus one more person, Henry, a stranger, tall and thin and sort of hunched underneath Virgil's cloak, staring blankly at the fire.
Virgil takes one look at Henry and gets up. What happened? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. You seem to have picked up a visitor?
No, okay, we're not going to just race past I'm fine. What happened to you?
Well, I went after Rowan, and I don't know what he was doing. It ended in a whole episode for him, but...
I can see that. Where is he?
I don't know.
Out by the greenhouses?
Okay, alright, can you just watch...
Virgil,
What?
no, isn't... He's very aggravated.
Yeah.
Look, I tried to have a reasonable conversation with him, and he wouldn't tell me anything.
Okay.
In hindsight, I suppose I understand now, well, part of what was going on, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's irrelevant. All I'm saying is that it's probably not the best time to go chasing after him. Can you even see with dark vision right now?
Yes, okay.
Do you need healing?
Yeah, why don't you come and sit down next to Kian? Can you just...
Maybe not that close.
This is my very good friend Errol. I will explain everything when I get back. He was one of the shepherds. Just can you watch him for just a bit?
Hold on, you should probably stay here. The state he's in.
I know what state he's in. It's okay, I'm just gonna go get him.
Don't bring him back here. I don't need to get attacked again.
Just sit down. I'll be back.
Do you need help?
If you want to follow me, I would ask that you keep a distance.
Alright.
But I won't stop you. Show me where... You said the greenhouse?
Yes.
Okay,
Just outside of the bay door thing.
okay. And Virgil will stand and start off in that direction.
Kirit will keep pace with Virgil.
Okay. He will approach the bay door on the other side and slow down as he goes, and he will unbuckle his belt and pass it and the sword to Kirit. Just hold this for me and stay here if you don't mind. It's close enough.
Alright, but if something goes wrong...
I am capable of running.
Alright.
It'll be okay. Virgil, with his hands up, will walk slowly past the doors into the dark. Can I see anything? What is the ground like here? Is it like stone? Are there?
It's stone.
Okay, so no footprints. He will reach up and take off his earring and let it sit in his palm and cast light on it and just gently like stroke his thumb over the side of it. Rowan, are you in here?
Roll a d20.
17.
Much like what Henry experienced, after a few moments, at the very, very edge of your vision, you can see a hint of movement of something very large.
Hey, it's just me. I'm not going to hurt you. Can you hear me?
You know he can't speak in this state, upset or not.
But can I see that he's still a lion?
Yes.
Is he just standing? Sitting?
Closer,
Yeah.
he's standing, pacing.
Does it seem like there's any sign of recognition or anger as I get closer?
As you get closer, he stops and looks up and doesn't move.
It's okay. I won't come any closer if you don't want me to. I'm just going to talk, okay? I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm just going to talk. Okay, wow, it has been some time. Do you remember when we went to the gardens in Donning? We went out, it was probably the first time that we went out to the Benthic Garden. Do you remember the arboretum with the root tree?
Roll a persuasion check.
With the -1, it's a 14.
He takes a few steps towards you.
Virgil doesn't move. It was big enough we could both stand under it. I remember I must have drawn it several times when we got back. That added to the, 23 other pages from that day. I think you recall the number better than I do.
Do you want to roll again?
18.
There's a flare of flame. Kira, you can see it. You can see in the distance a momentary flare of light, and he's a man again. He just stands there. His shoulders are tense. He's not looking at you.
Everyone's okay. Henry's okay.
He shakes his head.
I know there's nothing I can say that will make this seem any better right now, but everyone is alright and this is something we can work on. It's just me right now, and Kirit is by the doors. It's just us.
Kirit waves.
It's just us. Want to take a minute?
You should go back.
Yeah, but I'm not going to. I can give you some space if you need, but I'm not going to leave you here.
Please.
Can I insight check him? Is this fear-based? 14?
I mean, yes, you definitely see fear there. There's a lingering frustration and anger. Beneath it all, since you ran into Rowan in Dawning, you've seen him in various stages of put-togetherness, and it seemed as if he was constantly holding all of his pieces together very close and very carefully.
Yeah.
Since then, you have seen him drop a piece here or there, and he is always quick to gather it back. Now it appears like he has just let them all fall.
Look, if you genuinely don't want me here, I will leave the room, but I'm not going to go. It's okay if you just want to sit for a while, that's okay. You don't have to worry about appearances with me, it's just me.
You should go back to them. I shouldn't have come. I'm sorry.
I wanted you to come.
It was a stupid idea. I knew I wasn't ready.
This happened because we split off. If we were as a group, it wouldn't have happened this way. Because I know how to recognize the signs, it wouldn't have happened this way. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. That was my mistake and I won't make it again. Well, come here. Can I try and take his hand?
When you step towards him, he steps back.
Virgil will stop, but just keep his hand held out. You're not going to hurt me. You're not, it's okay. Can we just sit over here for a minute?
He is Henry Goodlove, Virgil.
I know who he is.
This is over.
Rowan, it's not. Yes, it's a mess, but we can clean it up. And we can't do that if you just stand here in the dark by yourself. We can't do that if you just lock me out. It's not over.
I don't think this is something that Mr. Goodlove is going to forgive and forget. Not that he should.
I think that if you give him a chance, he might surprise you.
He just sits.
Virgil reaches for his hand again. Well, the roll was a 15.
He reaches out and takes Virgil's hand.
Virgil just starts drawing circles on Rowan's palm, the inside of his wrist. In all honesty, he's more reasonable than you might think.
If he is reasonable, then he will go back and report this immediately. He would be right to.
I'm sorry I wasn't there.
It's not your responsibility.
I wish I was there.
You should go back.
Virgil just leans over and lets his head sit on Rowan's shoulder. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
I don't think I should join you.
Kirit approaches and he puts his hand slowly onto Virgil's shoulder. Perhaps he needs some space. I imagine you're probably quite tired, Rowan.
He's still not looking at either of you, just staring at the ground, but he nods.
Can you, if we left, could your familiar stay?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Don't you wander off anywhere. Promise me that.
He lets go of your hand.
Okay.
Kirit will reach into his shirt and pull out a makeshift necklace made of leather around his neck and hold it out to Rowan.
He glances up.
What looks like a large canine tooth.
He looks at it curiously.
I find it soothing to hold. Perhaps you might as well.
He does look at you now with profound confusion. You should not give me this. I know it's not for me to keep, but even to borrow.
I think we are similar. I think you should be glad to have Virgil looking out for you. But any little piece of kindness I can offer you, I'd like to.
Tears well in his eyes. He nods, holds his open palm in his lap, and just kind of fiddles with it.
Thank you, Kirit. And since you didn't promise, Virgil takes out his journal and sets it on the ground next to Rowan. I'm coming back for this. And I better find you with it. And he will set his hand on Rowan's shoulder for a moment and then head back towards the door. And all the way back to the boys.
Yeah, you guys have really got in your 10,000 steps.
Yeah. Yes.
I like to imagine Henry speedwalks everywhere. Anyway, so.
Yeah, that feels good.
Power walks.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't be careful, his tail will whack you on its way past.
Girl boss.
Yeah.
What's his walking speed? 30?
Yeah.
But it just feels faster
Yeah.
for some reason.
I think you return. Keen's sitting next to Errol, but there's space between them.
Errol doesn't really move from where Virgil left him, except occasionally he reaches up to his ear, the same side where Virgil keeps his earring, like he's checking for it, as all the Dawn Shepherds would have worn them in Virgil's days.
He's got his bedroll set up at this point. He's got his mandolin at his side, and his sword carefully placed in front of him, and he's just staring at it.
Virgil will take his seat back next to Errol and wrap an arm around him. Okay, he just needs some time. He's himself again.
Is everything alright?
No, I think that remains to be seen. Henry, are you okay?
Basically, yes.
Fuck.
What?
Commander-in-Chief Sterling attacked the Goodlove. It's... Do not, It's not great.
You act like I'm going to go directly to every newspaper in Dawning to recount the tale.
I worry that if you don't, Rowan will.
Well, that's not my fault.
No, I'm not... Henry, I'm not blaming you. It's just... I don't know what to do.
I don't know either. Look, I was caught somewhat off guard. He just disappeared, and when I confronted him, no explanation given whatsoever. Looked like he was going to just up and leave. Right after I should just say it, after we, killed that creature, I didn't quite know what to make of it. And the first thing that he tells me is, Henry, go back. That's an order. I'm not going to go and take orders without an explanation after all of this, especially after we've had a disagreement of morals. So, what I'm saying is that admittedly, to a degree it was my fault, but I was very justified this time. I believe.
Henry.
I'm not pressing charges against Rowan, is what I'm saying.
Henry, next time, I think, you go leaving to follow the person who left alone. You should let someone know.
Virgil was doing his spell and you were having a...
You could have stopped me. It's just a spell.
I didn't think he was going to attack me, and besides, I'm fine. Do I look dead? Or more dead than usual?
It looks like it came close.
You're fine this time. Supposedly.
I don't know why I'm getting scolded and Rowan's the one who toddled off in the
Oh,
first
Henry,
place.
you know we care about you, right? If you go running off on your own in this place. If it was any one of us, we would be having the same conversation.
Yes. I was also trying to stop. I thought that I would get to the end of it and have Rowan.
I know, and I'm just saying, I would have gone after Rowan too. But we need to make sure people know where we are.
Kieran found me.
Yeah, eventually.
Eventually, but...
There's a lot going on here.
Could you reassure them that you didn't find me half dead on the concrete?
Well, you were a bit worse for the wear, to be honest.
Henry, I'm not blaming you for what happened with Rowan, but going off on your own, I'm so sick of losing people, okay? I'm sick of it. And I'm sorry that you have very little regard for your health and very little desire to face that, but what do you think would have happened if you had died?
Virgil.
Just think it's a little presumptuous that you think I'd die.
I think we all need to calm down right now.
We could talk about our new friend instead.
Sure.
I certainly have questions.
Okay, fine. We'll come back to that. This is Errol Strauss. He was one of the shepherds before.
He looks up when you say his name.
When I was casting that spell, I was trying to understand what had happened to my sword, and the Celestial sort of spoke to me through it. It offered to grant me something, and I didn't really think. It just sort of happened. And Earl was my closest friend outside of Rowan.
You wished for it?
I think so. I did.
Did you teleport him here?
Well, I imagine not, because the last I saw, he was dying.
Oh.
Just because they were a star, right? The wish?
I guess so. In any case, he wasn't a vampire or anything before, so I don't know if he is a vampire or if he is something more like you, Kian.
When you say this, Kian looks to Kirit with
Oops.
You did bite. You did it bite.
the cat's out of the bag.
There's a cat. He's in the other room.
I want to give you, just to make sure you have the context of this world, all you know about vampires would be something a little more reminiscent of the Celeste you just fought, like a monster type thing. So just keep that in mind as you move forward.
Kian glances over to Kirit and breathes out heavily. I don't think he's like me. He doesn't have a pulse, right?
Virgil will reach for Errol's wrist. Doesn't seem so. But you do. I remember checking, you do.
Again, he glances over to Kirit. Yeah, I do.
Not to be insensitive, I hope, but, if you're not a vampire exactly, do you know what you are?
That's a good fucking question.
Special widow enemy boy.
He's got the hair for it. Protagonist hair.
not quite a vampire. I know that, at least. It seems like some people call it a vampire, but it's kind of hard to figure out what that means. The biting, that was...
We have a rule about bleeding in the group for just to let people know if you're doing any bleeding.
It's just a little bite,
No.
and it
It really doesn't hurt at all, honestly.
just lost control for a second. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna... I don't...
Sure, no, yes. I think I understand you. Kirit will use prestidigitation to clean up any blood in the vicinity.
Thank you. Keen just visibly relaxes as soon as Kira does that. Anyway, I don't think Errol is the same. But that's not a bad thing.
Well, all I know is he bites like you do. That's not very much. He seems fine, like, looking at the fire, right? Like, the light of the fire.
Yeah, I mean, he's not looking at it anymore.
Yeah, but he's not, like, wincing away from it.
No.
If I bring the glowing earring over, does that light seem adverse?
No. I mean, it's just a light. There's like a glimmer of presence returning to him as you sort of talk around him and talk about him. He looks at the light when you hold it up to him, doesn't flinch away. Mostly his gaze is directed towards you, Virgil, and towards Henry.
What the fuck does that mean?
He's pretty.
He might just need to eat a little bit differently and not go out in the sunlight.
Differently how?
Not a bad thing.
Seems
We
like
just have
kind
to
of
figure it
a bad
out.
thing, actually.
Can I say your how do I describe him?
Don't be weird.
Your dear associated friend. Hat starts with an L.
People can deal with it, you know?
Deal with it.
Simone, Oglen. It's just gonna be an adjustment, right?
Yeah, it's one I don't want for him, though. We don't even know if that's the case. How do you know? Is there anything we can do right now to know one way or the other?
Maybe when he's a little bit more conscious, he could try to walk on a wall.
Keen can do that too.
I mean, the only ways that I can tell aren't gonna be nice ones. So I don't really think that's on the table.
Okay.
Perhaps we could save interrogating him for what?
Sorry, what? It's just the word there that I have a bit
Yeah.
of a problem with. He is my friend.
I don't, upon seeing the look on Virgil's face. I don't mean interrogate in the same sense that we did with that one fellow from the train. I mean,
Yeah, I hope not.
perhaps discover is more appropriate of a word. Either way, we should perhaps save that and give him a moment to adjust.
I think it's gonna take a while before he's quite present anyway.
Okay.
If nothing else, I need to sleep.
Well, before we do that, I think we should talk a little bit about what we're going to do from here. Considering what happened with you and Rowan.
Shouldn't we have Rowan here for this conversation?
I can try, but he seemed pretty immovable.
I am concerned if he doesn't return.
Yeah. But we're happy not reporting this? That is quite a lot to ask of you, Henry. It's not a small thing. You're quite a significant person in the upper echelons of Donning.
Yes, I'm aware, but what's there to report, really? We're in a strange place outside of the usual boundaries of Freya, and strange things happened.
The oceans have an effect on people.
Not on shepherds.
Look, a lot has happened tonight. We have time to discuss this. Maybe when we've gathered our thoughts a little bit more.
It's just, the last time this happened, he did surrender himself into custody. And I worry about that. If it happens again, I don't know that Donning will let him go.
And
What do you mean, and?
if he's set on turning himself in, how are you going to stop that? Realistically.
We can convince him to come with us.
It will take some doing.
I don't know, I'm just throwing out ideas.
Yeah.
We'll talk sense into him. Sounds like perhaps he needs a moment. Look, for you, Virgil, really, my issue is not with the lion business. I had other difficulties that I wanted to discuss with him. I'll take that perhaps I deserved the attack in that scenario.
You didn't.
And I'm fine at the end of it. So, it's fine. Trust me, if I was going to be much more problematic with it, you would know. I'm not usually silent.
No one had noticed that.
Well, the one time that I was, I don't know if anyone really noticed it that much.
Yikes.
Got us there.
Maybe we all need to just take a break from our very long day.
It's a really good idea.
Fully agree.
Keen looks to Errol sitting by the fire. Someone should be up with him, I think, all night.
I can't be in two places at once, but I can't leave Rowan alone.
I'll stay up a bit.
We can take shifts. Don't know if you're comfortable with me helping in that regard, but the offer stands.
I think you're one of us now.
You're a much more complicated bunch than I thought at first.
Sorry, but you're tangled up in it, whether you want that or not, you know?
There are worse things.
I'd like to request to be woken up for a later shift. I very much need...
You look like you need some sleep.
Please.
Henry's going off to bed now. Got his part in.
Night.
Well, I'm not gonna sleep a whole lot, but I could stay up for this shift and another.
Thank you, everyone.
Take Marigold with you.
Okay. And you can check in. Virgil will take both of Errol's hands and hold them. And much like Kian did, he'll lean in and give him a kiss on the forehead. I'll be back, okay? I'm just going for a bit.
His hands at first are just sort of loose in yours and then tighten slightly. What is Mr. Godlove doing here?
That's a really good question. But it's okay. These people are my friends. They're going to look out for you, okay? I'll be back. And he will stand and take his sword back from Kirit, since he's going to be away for the night, and return to where he left Rowan. With Marigold on his shoulder, I presume? Do I find Rowan Starling where I left him?
You find him where you left him. He's holding the sketchbook. It's closed with one hand. Kirit's charm with the other.
Virgil will make sure that his steps are audible as he gets closer and sit cross-legged next to him. You know, you can look through that if you want.
He opens it.
This would be the most recent journal. The beginning of it is like the last drawings that he did while he was still in the Shepherds. But as he flips through more to the more recent ones, there are just swaths of pages that have been torn out. And then there's half of the blank journal.
He stops at the torn pages, touches one of the edges along the spine. What happened here?
That is from after I was cast out. It wasn't good.
Sorry, I could not save your other journals.
It's okay.
They were gone.
It's okay.
I asked.
What?
I asked for them.
They didn't let you keep them.
It was too late by the time I thought to ask.
Everything that was mine should have been yours. That was wrong of them.
Just keep slipping through.
There would still be some portraits in there, probably like of each of the shepherds. There's some loose pages in there of a different hand, like he didn't draw those. Rowan might recognize them as triumphs.
He lingers on one of the pages of portraits, flips past it, hands it back to you. I'm not sure what to do now.
Well, I think it's best if we figure that out together. Henry's not going to, I suppose you would say, press charges. So we can talk about how we want to handle this tomorrow. After we've had a bit of rest. Maybe when we're all thinking a bit more clearly.
Why didn't you just do as I asked?
As the years have passed, I've learned to be a bit more stubborn. And I don't think you ever wanted mindless obedience from me, so I'm right where I want to be.
you would not have acted that way towards Nico.
So this is about the Celestial then. If she had asked that of me 2 years ago, I would have refused.
I don't believe that for a second.
You think I would lie to you? Our mission was to come here and make the land safe again for people to inhabit. We had no reason to take it back to Dunning. Not to mention, Rowan, you are asking me not only to aid in the torment of this thing, but also not to say a word of protest about it.
I don't understand why you think I was planning to torment it.
I don't think you were planning to do
I was
anything.
hoping to learn from it and maybe we could fix what has happened to us. But it doesn't matter. It's over. He stands up.
It would have been torture in the hands of Navain, and you know that. That thing, its blood looks just like our crystals. You think that Donning wouldn't see fit to use it?
I think Donning would see fit to learn from it.
As it learned from us, with the new shepherds. Why didn't you tell me about what happened to our friend's earrings? You think I didn't notice? The bracelets. Red, green, pink, purple, Errol, Kepler, Jubilee, Hoku. I noticed. I was waiting for you to tell me and you never did. And maybe part of me was hoping you didn't know. But you're not that stupid. I know that you know. And I'm hoping that wasn't your idea. Why didn't you tell me?
He turns around.
Rowan, I'm sorry that came out wrong.
He drops the charm Kirit left him on the ground in front of you
Please don't leave. I'm sorry.
and just starts to walk to the side, not towards the bay door, just away. Back at the campfire, Kirit and Henry settle in for a rest, while Ox and Kian stay up on watch with Errol.
I would say like across the fire.
He'll look up at you occasionally with this very sort of distant, absent recognition, half smile, but doesn't say anything more for the rest of the night.
Kian watches him carefully for a while, and then, settling into the silence, he will at some point pick up his sword, trace the Sylvan on the blade, and stares into the fire. To my southern star. What the fuck does that mean?
What does it mean?
And that is where we'll end our session for tonight. Henry, as you are setting up for bed, I'm gonna have you roll a straight wisdom check.
No, not wisdom.
Wisdom.
Do y'all have
Sorry.
negative modifiers all across?
We never roll
No.
good. It doesn't matter if our modifiers are positive.
11.
There's something in the back of your mind that's just bothering you. Like when you have an errand you know that you need to do, but you can't remember what it is. You can't quite figure it out. You go to sleep.